Beautiful. Living in Love is the name of this wonderful duo here. So have you noticed that the noise is getting louder in the world? Just a little bit, just a little bit. Do you know, I think that it's getting louder because the light is getting stronger. Think about that for a moment. So when the light shines brighter, when the consciousness raises, it shines on all the things that are hiding out in the shadows, and it brings it forth. It brings it all up to the surface to be looked at, to be healed, to be transformed. And so let's join me in being able to know that yes, the darkness, yes, there appears to be a rise in darkness, but there is also a rise in the light. There's a rise in the consciousness. Do you know, and when it gets dark, that's a signal. That's a signal for all of us to go into the depth of our being, to listen from a higher place, from a higher perspective, to go higher, to be able to see the world, to see our lives, to see what's happening in the world from a higher place, from that divine place. Do you know that's one of the greatest gifts that we have been given is choice. The opportunity to choose, to see things in a new way. And it's in those depths of our being, that's where truth lives. Truth doesn't live inside of a spiritual teacher. It doesn't live inside of a guru. It doesn't live in a podcast or a book, or even here on Sundays. The truth lives within each one of us. That's where it lives. But you know, the ego, this thing called the ego, likes to interfere, doesn't it? The ego wants to be right. It wants to have the last word. Now, nobody in here has ever done that, right? It wants to shout no at all of the things that are wrong in the world, right? It wants to judge. It wants to criticize. And you know, when the noise gets really loud, we want to take action. Some of us want to get right in there and we want to take action. And I honor that for those that want to do that. But here's an invitation. If you want to take action, whatever that action is, to check in with yourself. Is my action coming from a place of ego, or is it coming from divine truth? Is it coming from my ego, or is it coming from divine truth? You know, every time we find ourselves in a righteous place, in an indignant place, we've bumped up against the ego. And the ego will convince us to take action, but not from a place of compassion, not from a place of unity, not from a place of love. The ego just wants to keep creating separation again and again, again and again. It only knows duality. It doesn't know unity. It just doesn't. Now, I don't want to bash the ego, because the ego does have its purpose in our life. It keeps us safe, among other things. But it doesn't understand spiritual truth. It doesn't understand it. And you know how we get together sometimes with others in our life? I've done this, where you gather with friends or family, and you start talking about what's happening in the world. Oh my God, I can't believe that thing is happening again. I can't believe that politician is doing that thing again. I can't believe, again, here we are again. We get into those moments where we gather with others and we feed off each other. And we get into that space of negativity and that space of indignation and that space of resignation. And you know, sometimes it's valuable. Sometimes it feels good, and sometimes it's good to vent, to share what we're feeling, what we're noticing, and we kind of get into that space where we're just needing to just share. what's there. And we get angry because we want justice. We get angry because we want people to experience safety and freedom and oneness. We want everyone to feel safe and seen and heard. So we get angry about it because we see what's happening in our world and we see the opposite of that. And so sometimes it feels comfortable to criticize and to judge. But I just invite all of us to be aware of where that's coming from. Because right now, community is more important than ever. And us coming together in love and in oneness and unity and compassion and wholeness and beauty is more important than ever. I believe that we are in a different place spiritually as a whole. Do you know, so many things have been created out of darkness. Sometimes it does get us going in action. When we witness something happening in the world, we want to take action. And movements, beautiful movements, have been created out of the darkness. But I think that we're in a new time where we're not going to need to create out of the darkness in the way that we have been. Now, this isn't something that Ernest Holmes ever said, although maybe he would if he were alive today. This is something intuitively that I am feeling. And some of you may be right there with me, not needing to create out of darkness anymore, that we're moving in a new direction. Now, I just invite you to check in with yourself. Do we need to continue to create from darkness, or can we create from living truth? Can we create from a deeper spiritual place? So I just invite you to just check in. To listen beyond the noise of the world asks us to go deeper. It asks us to listen to that deeper spiritual truth that all of us were born with. We came into this world with that deeper spiritual truth. We don't have to take a class to know how to do that. We don't have to read a book to know how to do that. It's a part of who we are. Those little kids that were up here, they get it. They totally get it. But then what happens in our life, we go through life and we just forget. We forget about that deeper spiritual truth. You know, Ram Dass said, only in the silence that lies behind thought, can one hear the symphony of the universe. Can one hear the whisper of the word? Can one approach the inner temple wherein dwells the soul? The inner temple wherein dwells the soul. You know, Ernest Holmes would talk about this power that exists within all of us. And every day he took time to connect in with that, because he knew that if he did that, it would not only transform his life, but it would transform his relationship and his connection with others, his ability to how he could see the world, to transcend his experience of the world. He knew that. So when we're listening from that deeper place, we're actually able to handle life in a different way. Have you noticed that? The more that you tune in, the more that you do your practices, the more that you do your work, the more you're able to handle your life? Imagine before every major decision you made, you tuned into that deeper truth first. Imagine before every difficult conversation that you had with anyone, you tuned in to that deeper spiritual truth and then took action from there. As you witness what's going on in the world and you feel yourself wanting to take action, you tune into that deeper spiritual truth and then see what you are called to do next. So I have a question for all of you, to just tune in and ask this question: am I willing to let go of my defenses and to surrender to the healing whisper of the truth that lies within me? Am I willing to let go of my defenses and to surrender to the healing whisper of the truth that lies within me? Every single person in here has something that you're dealing with in your life. Something. Could be physical, could be emotional, could be mental, could be spiritual. Are you willing to let go of your defenses and surrender to the healing whisper of the truth that lies within you in order to know what to do next? Ernest Holmes said the silence is our communion with spirit, our awareness of our unity with good. In the silence, we are unified. We are unified with all. That's where we receive our divine guidance. That's where our greatest wisdom comes from. Repeat after me. Today I recognize the voice of truth within my inner silence. Again, today I recognize the voice of truth within my inner silence. That voice of truth is speaking to you. It's always speaking to you. It speaks to you individually. It is speaking to us also as a community. Do you know, years ago, I used to be part of Mile High Church down in Lakewood. I know some of you have gone there and know about this beautiful center down in Lakewood. And Dr. Roger Teal was the former minister of that, head minister of that congregation. And I was sitting there in the audience one day, and it's a big audience. They have maybe, 800 people in the room. And he looked out at the audience and he said, there's a reason that we're all here. Not to come here to listen to me today, but bigger than that. We are all souls, part of the same soul group who have found their way together again. Again. That means, he said, we have all been together before in another lifetime, and we're here we are. And that really stuck with me. It's true. Do you feel that? You may not know this person over here. You may not know them in terms of a relationship, but on a soul level, we are all here because we just followed the light. We followed the light to this teaching, to this community, to each other. On some level, we feel that. We know that. You wouldn't be here if you did not, on a soul level, recognize that. So there's power in community. There's power in it. The Artemis crew returned from their trip around the moon. And at the press conference, a couple of them shared. Christina Koch, she shared so beautifully. She talked about what crew means to her. And how a crew is people who sacrifice. They hold each other accountable. They give each other grace. A crew is beautifully and dutifully linked. She's talking about oneness. And she said, when I looked out at the earth, this small little ball, what I said was, Earth, you are a crew. You are beautifully and dutifully linked to one another. And then Jeremy Hansen spoke, the commander, and he shared, we went up there and there's some science things that we'll get to that. We'll get to the science piece. I'll share that later. But he said what he wanted to focus on was the human connection. And he said that they coined the term joy train when they were together. He said, we weren't always on the joy train. But our commitment was to get back on the joy train as often as we could. And then he asked us, he stood there, it was C-SPAN, a lot of people in the audience and millions of people watching online. And he asked the crew to come and stand next to him. And he said, one of the things that was the most important thing that I want to share is love. And he said, when we were up there and so many people around the world were watching us, and we got these messages of love and connection and inspiration and joy. And he was so touched by that. And he said, we were there to experience this meaningful contribution and extract joy from all of the contributions. But he said, when you look up here at us, he said, we are merely a mirror reflecting you. So he said, look a little deeper. We are you. We are you. And so I just think what they shared was such a beautiful example of what community really is. As we listen beyond the noise of the world, that's it right there. To find the light, to remember that we are that light, that this community is that light. And every time we hold prayer, every time we hold ourselves in intention about our world, about each other, about our lives, that there is a light that goes out and it touches and it heals and it inspires, because we are all dutifully and beautifully linked to one another. My dear friend Kathleen sent me a prayer recently that came from a friend of hers in Portugal. And I'm going to read this message because I think it's so powerful. And it really speaks to listening beyond the noise of the world. And it speaks to the power of community and the power of prayer. Dear people, at this moment, a silent invitation is circulating worldwide. From various countries, people are sharing a simple yet powerful gesture with one another, consciously coming together for 1 minute every day in prayer, silence, or intention. A similar movement emerged during the Second World War. At a fixed time every evening, a group of people set aside their activities to pray for peace and protection for everyone. Day after day, they came together in this single moment of attention and devotion. It was later said that the power of this collective prayer was so great that it felt as if an entire city fell silent for a moment. Shortly thereafter, the bombing stopped. Today, people are once again choosing to connect with one another in this way. All over the world, people take 1 minute every day to open their hearts to peace. A minute in which we focus on safety, harmony, and protection for all countries and all people on earth. In that 1 minute, we remember that consciousness has power. Those thoughts, prayers, and intentions form a field that extends beyond borders, languages, and cultures. We invite the highest light to flow through our world. We ask that wisdom and compassion may guide the decisions of leaders. And we hold a field in which peace becomes possible. When thousands or even millions of people connect at the same time, a powerful collective field of consciousness emerges. A minute may seem small, but a minute of shared intention can open a world. We connect energetically at the following times, and then it listed all the times across the entire world. In the United States, it's 1 o'clock. Take 1 minute every day at the indicated time to focus your heart on peace on earth. A minute in which we pray for world peace, for the end of conflicts, and for the restoration of tranquility, safety, and dignity for all people on this planet. A minute in which we also ask that families may find their protection, their guidance, and inner strength in God, the universal source. Throughout history, we have seen that shared intention can have an immense impact. If we truly understood how powerful prayer and focused intention are, we would be amazed at what becomes possible when hearts unite. We may focus on peace simultaneously, a power that emerges, that reaches further than we can see with the naked eye. So I just invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes for a moment. And let's just take a moment as I close out today to just focus on peace. On peace for humanity. On peace for our world. Connect into the truth within you and listen beyond the noise of the world. Recognizing that we are beautifully and dutifully linked. Create from that light that lives and breathes as you. Feel peace. Feel it. Know peace. Declare in this moment silently, peace for all. From your sacred heart, create a world where there is peace and justice and happiness and freedom for all. May every person, every being, experience safety, harmony, guidance, and inner strength. See everyone on the entire planet getting on the joy train, connecting as one human family. See and feel the light within you extending from your heart and going out to the entire world. Seeing that beautiful earth in front of you and that light extending from your heart, surrounding the entire earth, blessing and healing all. And so we claim this, we declare this. We affirm and know that peace is here, right here in this moment. We feel this, we know this. We declare it, it is done. It is so. And we give thanks for the energy and the light that is here within this community, and knowing and recognizing the power that is here. As we hold this intention, we know that peace is possible. And so it is.